so fast.
Hey, LOFT. If you couldn't join us tonight, we want to get you caught up to speed. We talked about Noah and the flood tonight, but in a way that you may not have heard before. Now, pretty much everybody knows the story of Noah's Ark. It's one of the most popular Bible stories. It's all over the place. Evan Almighty is based on it. And the basic premise is that there's so much sin in the world that God decides to flood it. But at the same time, Noah is a righteous man, so God places him in charge of saving all the animals, getting them on this big ark so that life can continue after the flood. Okay, that's the basic Vacation Bible School version. But we talked about it a little bit differently tonight. You see, Genesis chapter 6 gives this long description of all the sins that are going on in the world. The idea that you have sexual sin occurring, that you have violence going on, that the world is prone to warring and destruction, and that Noah is one of the few people out there, really the only person left, who seeks to do God's will. And so looking at this broken, terrible world, God does what any of us would do when looking at a creation that's gone around. Wad it up and throw the whole thing away. Well, in this situation, even though it would have made perfect sense for God to do that, he looks at Noah. He looks at how righteous he is. He looks at the fact that here is the one man on earth seeking to do God's will. And so God saves him. God preserves him. God has him build a boat so that he can be protected from the flood. And while the rest of the world is washed away so that it can start over with a clean slate, God has preserved this one righteous man so that he can continue to serve. God didn't just hand Noah a sword and say, hey, go kill these guys, you're my boy, Noah. No, instead, he put him in the role of a servant and of a shepherd. Instead of sending him off into conflict, God put him on a boat and protected him. This is hit home even more in 1 Peter chapter 3, where it says to rejoice when you face any sort of trial. Because after all, this is God cleansing this world. There's so much evil out there, so much wrong with this world. We're going to suffer. We're going to face difficult times. But we should always have faith that God is going to protect us, just as he protected Noah. Because Noah had faith in God, just as we are called to have faith in God. It's only appropriate that we talk about this today, the 12-year anniversary of 9/11, when the World Trade Center and the Pentagon fell. You see, the story of Noah is an account of God wiping away evil and preserving good. But the difficult thing about fighting for the side of good is that goodness has to win out all day, every day. But evil only has to win once. On 9/11, 12 years ago, terrorists won. Our lives were forever disrupted by one act. And as a result, you've seen it at airports. We have to be constantly vigilant. We have people constantly working to protect us and our country. Because if they slip up for even a second, the worst could happen. The tough part about being good is that we're called on to be vigilant all the time. Because evil only has to win once. We're called on to be those kinds of servants of God. We're called on to do our best to be good all the time, to constantly show faith in God. But when we slip up, which is inevitable, when sin creeps into our lives, when evil creeps into our world, we need to believe that God will protect us. That's what 1 Peter chapter 3 is all about, and that's what the story of Noah in Genesis chapters 6 through 9 is all about. It's a promise that when we have faith in God, he is steadfast and true and will care for his people. And that promise is extended to you through Jesus Christ. So that when the worst happens, we can take shelter in him find protection in His mercy. And that's ultimately what the story of Noah is really about. First of all, Glow in the Dark Dodgeball has been moved to October 5th, just so you know. Also, we're limiting it to 40 people who can come participate in this. So if you would like to come to Glow in the Dark Dodgeball and bring friends, sign up early. Alright, go ahead and get your name on that list so that we can get all of the transportation arranged. Also, first priority. Do you know where your club meets? Do you want to know where your club meets? Please do. I would really encourage you to participate in this. And if you don't know where your club meets, see me. I will find out for you. So tonight I gave what is called my Natalie Portman speech, which is this. Guys, Natalie Portman is very physically attractive. She also graduated from Harvard, having studied psychology. She has multiple published papers, including a paper on development in the frontal lobe. She interned with Alan Dershowitz, who is one of the most well-known constitutional law attorneys in America, and a guest speaker multiple times at Columbia University on the subject of international terrorism. She is an activist for Feed the Children and for several animal rights organizations, having even traveled to Africa to film documentaries about gorilla habits. She's one of the most brilliant women alive. She just also happens to be very good looking. Guys, if you were to ignore Natalie Portman's brain, you'd be missing out on one of the best parts of her. She's not just a pretty face. And neither are any of the girls in this youth group. Neither are any of the girls you will ever encounter. No one, anywhere, is just a face. There's always depth to people, and when you just focus on someone's physicality, when you just focus on a person's appearance, you miss out on meeting someone incredible. If I hear any of that style of flirtation again, the stuff where you are just focusing on a person's appearance and trying to seem clever by commenting on it a lot, you'll be repeating those comments to your parents at the end of the night. We're not fooling around with this. So that's my Natalie Portman speech. It boils down to this. Respect. Not just looking at someone's appearance, but giving them the chance to let their words and actions define them. When you don't do that, when you judge someone entirely by their appearance, you miss out on some of the most beautiful parts of them. And you look stupid in the process. Guys and girls, respect needs to start now. Well, that's about all the news from the Loft. Remember, sign up for Dodgeball, check out your first priority club near you, and be respectful of one another. Because we're brothers and sisters in Christ. One body, united to serve and worship Him. And remember, here at the Loft, we love you, we're praying for you, and I hope that you're praying for us as well. Peace be with you.